What's up, gamers? Welcome to Right Gamer. My name's Kevin. In today's episode, we're actually going to be traveling back in time to 2011. We're going to be watching this gentleman right here. And we're going to see how well this video has aged. Does anything that he says in relation to the game and in relation to the company, can it be related to any other video game controversy that has happened since he originally uploaded this video, which originally was in 2011? The video we're looking at is a re-upload.
This video goes out to all the Capcom suckers and the Capcom guzzlers because y'all be all over that Capcom dick day and night.
I think he's where I got my derogatory statements from.
Right? Got the nerve to come to my videos and my channel page and tell me what I'm saying is wrong when I
plenty of people do that
am fighting for a better game for you.
So, fun fact, this is just so my subscribers know, this video right here is the whole reason why this channel and Gamer Rant even exists. I came across him, watched him, and I was like, you know what, I have an opinion. I agree with this guy. I want to do a video. I spent an hour coming up with the name Gamer Rant. I think maybe in some part of me is still holding on to the Gamer Rant brand itself. And there's been even times today where I often sit there and I think maybe I should just go back to what I was. I've done this before. I ain't gonna lie. You know what? I'll leave it up to my subscribers what you think about the statement I just said. Like, should I just stick with Right Gamer? Should I go with what originally this channel was inspired by, which was this video right here? That's the whole reason why I created Gamer Rant. Because later in this video, he says that that gamers need a voice. So that was something I looked at when I heard it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I could be that voice. I mean, granted, I was a new guy. Nobody really going to listen to me, unlike, you know, someone like Angry Joe, Yang Yang, Alpha Omega Sin, you know, big YouTubers that could make a difference with all these controversies, but for one reason or another, never did. So I thought maybe I could somehow create that one video that's just like, boom, you know, light bulb to all the gamers. And we come together and we, you know, that was a pipe fantasy dream apparently though. But, I mean, just for a little understanding and context to why I created Gamer Rant, it is totally because of BBC. Some of my first subscribers came from him because I did a video response to this video, and I went and I shamelessly linked my video in the comments of that video.
Matter with me telling Capcom that it is not okay to release an unfinished game, that it's not okay to release DLC for all their games, and cut portions of their game out and offer it up as DLC. What's wrong with telling them that cheating gamers is not okay?
Nothing. Not a damn thing, but, you know, that's always going to be an issue within it. I've seen this throughout my years of doing this kind of thing. You know, I talked about, like, for example, Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Not really a controversial thing to talk about, but I had an opinion and thought on it. And my opinion and thought was, you know what? For the Final Fantasy VII fans out there, Square Enix is fucking you in the ass with an iron fist. Because they're taking one of their most popular games that they know is popular, and they're going to purposely break it up into pieces, and ultimately to get more money. And the funny thing is that, like I mentioned in those videos, if this was any other company doing this, Electronic Arts or Capcom, people would be fucking livid. But of course, it's Final Fantasy. And that's one of the hypocrisies of gamers, is they'll vitriolize one company and then give another company a pass for doing the same or similar thing. Or doing something that they know they would vitriolize another company for doing.
Do you realize what your purchase of a game tells a company?
That we do a lot of talking, but at the end of the day, we will not walk the walk.
If you purchase a game, an unfinished game, from a company like Capcom, you know,
fun fact, we have been purchasing unfinished games since the PlayStation 3 360 era. There's a reason why Day 1 updates exist. I've constantly told people from the beginning when I started my channel, this is not a good thing. This is something that's going to affect the gaming in the long run, because you're just telling the developers that they can be lazy. Lo and behold, we end up with No Man's Sky, Fallout 76, and Redfall. But, you know, I'm just some small YouTuber at the time, so what the fuck did I know? Only the fact of fucking common sense and the domino effect.
Urge to release more unfinished games and just release the later parts of the games as DLC, so you stop buying their games. Stop buying them.
Every gamer has said this time and time again, from Alpha Omega Sin to Angry Joe, myself, and yet, once again, the hypocrisy of gamers in general, me included, we never really did anything. Because I have my own demons when it comes to microtransactions. There was a point where I purchased them. There was a point where it's like, microtransactions are bad, I'm not purchasing them anymore, but then I would still use like the pre-order bonus stuff. And it's like, that's just as bad. It's still a microtransaction. The fact that I'm getting it for free or included in some kind of collector's edition is ultimately irrelevant. I can sit here and bitch about it, but at the end of the day, I'm not accomplishing anything by even inputting this code, because it's telling developers that this is okay. And I'm really sad that it took me that long to figure it out. And that's why I actually no longer have access to my old PlayStation or Microsoft account. I have completely new ones. No pre-order bonus bullshit. No microtransaction purchases whatsoever. Surprisingly, I never did that on my Nintendo or my Steam account. I have no idea why, but I never did it. Unfortunately, I did do it on PlayStation and Microsoft. And like, you know, we all have our demons, and we've all contributed in one way or another to the bullshit that we don't like in modern day gaming.
You people aren't that stupid. Well, you are stupid regarding certain things, but this you guys know about. You know for a fact that Capcom cheats gamers.
Every company.
My first Capcom video, you guys gave me what I wanted. You told me what was wrong with Marvel Vs Capcom 3. I knew everything that was wrong with it already, but you guys came and told me,
"No, you're so stupid. You didn't talk about the missing modes. Oh, you're so stupid. You didn't talk about this. You didn't talk about that. Oh, you should be used to this already. Capcom's been doing this for years. You're stupid."
You know, that's one of the most common excuses that I get even when I do a video is, well, this is gaming today. So there's no point of your video, and there's no point of me not buying the game, because they're still going to do it. And it's like, and that is the reason and the mentality of why gaming is the way it is. We can sit here and bitch and complain about how shitty these companies are, but at the end of the day, the only fucking joke in the room is fucking gamers. Because we're the only group that is the loudest, but yet accomplishes nothing.
They cheat gamers, but you encourage them to continue to cheat us.
True.
And that ain't right.
True today.
You fools that bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you don't care about gaming. You don't. You really don't.
I would say that about anyone. Like,
Lost Planet.
Even myself. They're like I've already mentioned. I've had my own hypocritical hypocrisy within the video game industry, microtransactions and all that. So I play a part in that hypocrisy, that ignorance, that arrogance, that stupidity. But that goes with Angry Joe. It goes with Alpha Omega Sin. Even BBC himself, because I'm sure he has bought a game that had microtransactions in it. He may not have purchased the microtransaction, but he still bought the game. And same with me, I've done that as well. But that is still us supporting microtransactions in a different way. After thinking about it for a while, I never understood why people came up with the idea, don't purchase microtransactions. It's okay to purchase the game, don't purchase microtransactions. Because that clearly is not helping. In fact, I would say that our support of buying that game, regardless if we don't purchase any microtransactions, is telling the company, this is okay. Because we will still buy your game. Which is ironically not the message we wanted or attempted to convey, and yet somewhere along the lines we failed.
Portions cut out of game, DLC, Resident Evil 5, content on your disc, sold back to you the gamer as DLC. PS Move, Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition, They could have just patched that in, but guess what they did? They released a full retail version. Marvel Vs Capcom 3. They released an unfinished piece of trash that you Capcom guzzlers swallowed down that pre like it was sweet nectar from heaven.
Gamers still do that.
They sold you a 3 gigabyte game with 1 year development, with unfinished characters on the disc, which were some of them were sold to you as DLC. You had characters available as DLC, barely any stages, missing game modes. It was
So the idea of missing
incomplete
game modes
piece
was
of
something back in the
trash.
day as well.
You didn't even get a
I didn't
whole
actually
piece of trash.
know
You got a piece
kind
of
of
a
where it
piece of
started.
trash. And you guys defended it. And now they're releasing Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And you idiots are going to purchase that. What is wrong with all of you?
Which, yes, could have objectively just been an expansion pack.
It's not okay. Gamers, it is not okay. What?
And to touch on some of the things he was talking about real quick is that you look at like DLC and what it's become. Something that, one of the biggest excuses we've seen gamers make is that they plan this stuff after the fact. Because I've had people, even back in the day from 2012, come to my videos where I'm complaining about microtransactions or DLC at the time. And it's like, well, no, it's all right because they plan it after the game. And I'm like, no. I mean, you look at something like a pre-order bonus DLC. That is a microtransaction that they planned before the game was even released. So, 1, you're objectively incorrect from that statement alone. 2, it's been proven, because he mentioned it before, dislot content, found on a retail game for micro DLC, for season passes that exist on retail games, but yet are supposed to be released at a far later date. The other newer controversy surrounding Redfall is there's evidence proving that they had planned from the beginning a shit ton of microtransactions. Not to mention, I do have a degree in creative writing for entertainment, which one of my classes was video games. So I learned the process of how video games are made. One of those things is, yes, DLC is something that is planned and thought out when they're actually coming up with the general idea of the game. Especially if you have a greedy publisher like Electronic Arts, Namco Bandai, etc. somehow involved or relaying to the developer, this is our requirement if we publish your game.
Why am I the only one speaking out about this? I mean, there's articles about this and everything, but we need a voice. Gamers need to speak out. Activision, EA, Capcom, there's a ton of companies out there that need to have their butts handed to them by the gamers.
And another thing to this is that you look at like the more recent release of Street Fighter and Diablo 4. Everyone's praising those games. Like SkillUp did a video not too long ago saying that he recommends, I believe it was Diablo 4. And my thoughts is like, I'm just sitting here waiting to see what both Activision and Capcom do in regards to the new Street Fighter for Capcom, and how they're going to fuck all of you in the ass, because you still have not fucking learned your lesson.
I'm going to tell you guys this one more time. They make games for us. Our money puts them on the map.
That's another thing that I've mentioned throughout the years is, that we make these companies as big as they are. And if we can make them as big as they are, we sure as fuck can demolish them. But unfortunately, there comes the hypocrisy of gamers. We do a lot of talking, but we don't do a lot of walking.
To us. We should not cater to them.
Which that's all we've done. There's a reason why people
what I'm saying.
use the excuse, there's nothing we can do. They'll just continue what they're doing. The reason being is because you choose not to do anything. Or you choose to just not buy the microtransactions, which isn't telling them anything. Because you're still supporting the microtransactions by buying the game itself. or the loot box.
Look at the look on my face. Are you listening?
I wish we would have listened.
Instead of wanting to improve on gaming and experiencing the high life that gaming can be, these morons buying Capcom's incomplete games.
You know what he's talking about there is pretty accurate because, you know, I've watched a few Osmond Gold videos, and because he does reaction videos to other people's videos. And usually there's somebody in there that talks about bugs occasionally or something like that. And I don't know. Osmond Gold's opinion on it is just half-ass, crack-ass backwards if you ask me. Because he basically is like, oh, bugs have always existed. That's paraphrasing. And it's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. All right? I could come up with just as much of a generic-ass fucking excuse as you just did. But the reality of it is no one focusing on the actual... No one is saying that bugs never existed. They just weren't as fucked up as they are today. Here's one for you, Osmond Gold. Name 10 games that are completely fucking broken from the classic PS2, Xbox, GameCube era and the retro era that are unplayable. The reality of it is you can't find fucking any. And you can't sit here and use the excuse that, well, they're smaller teams, smaller graphics. That's just a loaded shit of an excuse simply because technology has evolved does not mean that how they do their job should de-evolve. Which is another reason why gamers need to stop making excuses for these companies. Just so we're all on the same page.
In the games, they want to have 3 of the same game on their shelf. Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, Marvel Vs Capcom, Marvel Vs Capcom, Ultimate Marvel Vs Capcom.
That's funny too, because when I did my video on this, because like I said, I was inspired by him to create my channel, I actually got a bunch of people that said they did this on the Super Nintendo. And it's like, yeah, I understand that, but we live in an age now where they could create an expansion pack for the home console. So there's objectively no reason for them to do this, because that was basically the only way they could release an update or expansion pack at that time.
3. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. Only you morons would allow a company like Capcom to have increase in profit, but a decrease in sales. Does that make any sense?
No.
Does it? They're profiting and they're not selling games.
The microtransactions being sold. Okay. Light bulb just came on.
Because
I was thinking, like, what is he talking
idiots are
about?
buying DLC. Why on earth would they want to spend the money to develop a
true for every
game
developer and publisher today,
when they can throw their incomplete piece of trash out on the market and you morons will bend right over and buy it?
Take that iron fist cock right up your ass.
I wouldn't make a full-blown game if I knew there was millions of morons out there. Cock guzzlers.
You know something? If I was a corporate dick of any of these major companies, like let's say Activision drops the ball on Diablo 4 with some egregious microtransactions, all right? And gamers started to complain about it. I would literally get on Twitter as the corporate owner, and I'd be, I would bitch slap all the gamers. Be like, yo, this is gaming today. If you don't want this kind of shit, you should have made that change back in the day. But at the end of the day, y'all did what we all developers and publishers know you were going to do. You're going to bitch, and then at the end of the day, you're going to sit down, you're going to shut up, and you're going to buy the fucking game. So make up your goddamn mind. Because I have, and I'm making egregious microtransactions. Don't like it, don't buy it. I'd be a dick of a corporate ass.
That would buy my game. I wouldn't. You guys are telling them it's okay.
That's all gamers have ever done.
Where's the digital love? Huh? Where's the love for gaming? Where is the passion, gamers? Where is it? You don't have it. All you people buying Capcom's incomplete games and then purchasing all their DLC, you don't love gaming. You don't. Don't tell me Konami, you do.
Namco Bandai, Guerrilla Games, Naughty Dog.
Look, I'm not trying to play superhero here. And I hope this video didn't take too long.
And
but you idiots.
Just for context, the reason why I mentioned Naughty Dog and Guerrilla Games is because, well, every game from the PlayStation 3 era all the way up to today is released incomplete, broken. All right. It may still be playable in what we would call the vanilla version of the game, but there's a reason why day one updates exist. So yes, objectively, Guerrilla Games is just as guilty as Electronic Arts or Konami for releasing a quote-unquote broken game, because they all do it. Ironically, the only people that I've never seen a day one update for is Indie Games. They're also the only company that I've never seen with microtransactions, because if anyone remembers, Electronic Arts came out years ago, roughly about the same time as this video, and they made the statement that the reason why microtransactions exist is because they don't make enough money off the initial game sales. If that is a true statement, then why aren't indie developers doing it? And yet there are still gamers out there that use that excuse that Electronic Arts perpetuated, who is also a publisher, mind you, so they make money either way, and they regurgitate that statement, and yet they're either oblivious or full well know that there are indie developers out there, excluding the mobile department, that don't have microtransactions in their game. Because if you do it right the first time, if you focus on your art, then the rest will come to you easily. That's why in this modern age of gaming, I've also decided never to buy any digital version of a game, because I've done this in the past. I would buy it, or, you know, it'd be discounted, so I would buy it on PlayStation, for example, or Microsoft, and I'm supposed to be a gamer that's all about the physical copy. And yet here I am buying discounted digitals that ironically I never played. So when I redid my accounts, PlayStation and Microsoft, to wipe out all the bullshit microtransaction hypocrisy that I purchased back in the day, pre-order bonus codes that I used, all gone now, is that I'm not using any of that bullshit, and I'm only going to buy honest indie developed games that have no physical copy. This is the only digital games I will be supporting. And I think at the end of the day, that's where it starts. It starts with gamers actually making a stand within of itself of some kind.
Are daft. Nothing but a bunch of keyboard punks.
That's every gamer today. That includes myself. Like I said, I have my own hypocritical demons when it comes to the very subject we're talking about. Just a bunch of keyboard warriors. I think that really describes gamers today, back in the previous generation and the generation before that, just a bunch of keyboard warriors, a bunch of YouTube warriors, easily bitch about something but then do nothing about it. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, does Angry Joe really honestly have an issue? Does Yang Yang really have an issue? Did Alpha Omega Sin, when he did videos, really have an issue with this stuff? Or were they simply doing it for the views? That includes my small-ass little channel as well. Was Gamer Rant doing it because I really had an issue with it, or was I merely doing it for the views? I would have to say maybe the views. Because it isn't until now in 2023, and I see all the hypocritical shit that I did that has damaged gaming for what it is, and I'm now a part of help damaging it. So, you know, there's no iteration that, you know, we look at all the other bigger YouTubers, I'm just as guilty as them, they're just as guilty as me.
It's just unbelievable. A fan base that's just as bad, if not worse, than the Sonic fan base.
That's why when I look at like Diablo 4 and Street Fighter, because I've kind of mentioned this before, I'm going to include Mortal Kombat 1, which is objectively a fucking dumbass name, alright? I wait for when the ball drops on those, and there's something egregious that gamers aren't going to like. I wait for that day. And I wait for that day because, let's just say I'm not going to be very defending of gamers when the ball drops on those games that everyone is praising.
Looks like the sun's starting to come up a little bit. Got me out here late, getting all pissed on this rooftop. I don't even know where I am right now.
I don't know if BBC would watch this video, but
it's a parking garage.
I miss your videos,
yeah, it's a parking garage. But this had to be said. It did. We need to make these companies work harder, make games better, make them work faster.
Okay, that did not age very well, obviously. The faster part, because, I mean, even he probably would redact that nowadays. From watching all his videos, I have him on Facebook as a friend as well. We don't really interact with each other, just kind of like, you know, a normal Facebook friend that's just kind of there. But anyway, and I think I at least known him long enough that I think he knows he would redact that statement he just said where they should make games faster, because that's been proven that shouldn't be a thing.
To make a stronger game. That's what needs to happen. And it's up to us, the gamers, to send that message to those companies. So tell me, gamers, what side are you on? Are you a Capcom sucker?
This is my third time re-recording this video. It got all the way up to 45 minutes. So I'm just going to let him finish what he's saying, and then I'll interject my own opinions and whatnot.
A Capcom guzzler? Are you a corporate jockey? Do you submit to these companies and just purchase whatever they're willing to give you?
Unfortunately,
or do you want to send a message and tell them that cheating us is not right?
It'd be nice if we did that.
You know what you can do to send them a message? By not buying their games. That's what you do.
It's true, but no one's ever done it.
It's worked on the PC. PC gamers know what's going on. They know what's up. They don't submit to these companies. If those companies do something we don't like on the PC, those companies feel it. Oh yeah, they feel it, and they come crawling back to us on their knees, just begging for just a little taste of our nickels and dimes.
Not anymore, though.
We made Microsoft submit. We've made EA submit. What about you guys? Huh? What have you guys accomplished? What have you guys done to make gaming a better experience for other gamers? Nothing. You ain't done jack. And that needs to change. Gamers need to band together.
Very true.
And take on these
We probably still
companies.
won't, though.
That's all I got to say to the Capcom guzzlers. And the
I swear to God, I used to make.
Capcom
I occasionally still make these kind of derogatory statements,
suckers.
and I think watching BBC is where I got them from.
I hope you all enjoyed this video, because I sure enjoyed making it. Wherever you are, my dear children, have a good day or have a good night. Stay warm, wear your sweaters, take your Flintstone vitamins, and wise up.
So what he was saying about, like, you know, PC gamers banding together. Unfortunately, in this modern age, everything that affected console gaming at that time has found its way into PC gaming. So that's, you know, this is something that I've talked about in my videos before. The domino effect is that if we don't nip this in the butt, it's going to affect other developers, other games, and that's exactly where we are today. You know, you look at everything that he mentioned in the video, and everything is objectively true to this day. All you got to do is replace Capcom and the name of any game he's mentioned with a different company or a different set of games, and it's the exact same thing. I mean, literally, the same message could be stated over and over again, and it has. And I sit here and I think about, you know, where did gamers go wrong? Well, one, I know my own mistakes that I've made when creating videos and talking about it. It's like, well, I'm not going to... Because I purchased microtransactions before I started making YouTube videos, at least in relation to Gamer Rant. And then when I started, I stopped buying them, but I still used the pre-order bonus codes, the little slips, you know, the day one edition stuff. And that within of itself is hypocritical. And some people might say it wasn't because I technically didn't buy it. It came with the game or it was for free. But that's still me sending a message to the developer that microtransactions is okay. That's another way of supporting it. And then eventually there came to a point where it was like, well, even just purchasing the game is a way of supporting microtransactions, even if I choose not to purchase, you know, these games. And in this modern age of gaming, I think that the only way gaming is ever going to change is that gamers need to, but we won't take a stand. You look at games like Diablo 4 and Street Fighter, the new Street Fighter, and even the new Mortal Kombat 1 that's supposed to come out whenever the fuck it's supposed to come out. And It's like, I wonder what egregious things is going to be dropped after the review cycle. Because we've seen this before. Gamers have complained and bitched about this before. And yet, here gamers are repeating that same mistake. Don't pre-order games. Don't buy games day one. And what did everyone and their mother do? They bought Diablo 4, knowing the history of the previous Diablo games. They went to Street Fighter, knowing the previous history of Street Fighter and other fighting games within the Capcom library. So at the end of the day, you know, I think gamers, one, have not learned their lesson. We talk a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, we will get on our hands and knees and we will beg them for Street Fighter 5 and Diablo 4 and Mortal Kombat 1. There is no bigger joke in the gaming industry than gamers themselves. That's why earlier I said if I was the corporate whoever of any of these companies, I really wouldn't give a shit about gamers and their bitching and their complaining. In fact, I would use that against them, whether on a tweet or in an interview. I would mention how they're just a bunch of whiny little bitches that at the end of the day will do what we know they will always do. They will go buy the fucking game. It's like if you're going to sit here and bitch about something and you're going to say that we need to change, then why don't you try stop talking and actually do something by not buying the game? But no group of gamers has ever done that. You look at somebody like Angry Joe, Yang Yang, Alpha Omega Sin back in the day. I mean, he didn't have millions. I think he still has like 250-some thousand or something like that. Subscribers. Still the potential to rally people together. Because when you think about it, all it would really take is one big-ass YouTuber to be like, hey, this is bullshit. We're not supporting this game. We need to do it. And that's going to lead another big YouTuber. Like, for example, let's say Angry Joe were to do this. Yang Yang sees the video or he hears about it. And he's like, you know what? Then he does a video and be like, yo, this is bullshit. Let's do this, gamers. And it's just going to be the domino effect. You know, I think most people, gamers, don't realize is the domino effect can work both ways. It can work against us, which it has for years in the gaming industry, or it can work for us. But gamers at their core, no matter how big their channel was, no matter how big their voice was in some kind of, you know, message board, Twitter, tweet, or Facebook group, post, whatever, it has never been big enough in the aspect that we could change something. Because we have this mentality that we can't. Even in this modern generation, we have the ability. We can make a change. It's just we're too fucking ignorant and arrogant to realize that we've had small little wins. And those small little wins at the end of the day are nothing but a fucking joke. Because is that all we're going to take is small little wins? We're not going to band together and be like, you know what, Redfall was egregious and bullshit. So nobody pre-order Starfield. Nobody pre-order the next Skyrim game. Why? Because we're going to send a message to Bethesda. They need to do their goddamn fucking job. We're going to send a message to Electronic Arts. We're going to send a message to NetherRealms about DRM, and we're not going to buy the next Mortal Kombat game because DRM still exists in Mortal Kombat 11. The hypocrisy of gamers to sit there and bitch about Electronic Arts for putting DRM in SimCity back in the day, and they're going to give Ed Boon a fucking pass. Angry Joe did it. I've said it time and time again, when it comes to Mortal Kombat, Angry Joe's the biggest fucking hypocrite. He'll bitch about DRM in another game, but he's going to get on his hands and knees and suck that Ed Boon dick and still support Mortal Kombat 11. I said that back in the day when I was making a lot of videos about that bullshit. Which was ironic because I had like a lot of his viewers. I was a small YouTuber, and I thought I was going to get a lot of flack from his viewers. They were just going to come and troll my video, dislike it. That wasn't the case. I was surprised at how many of his subscribers saw my video and they were like, dude, you're right. He's a fucking hypocrite. I mean, all it takes is just us to actually stand together and do something. To band together. But you know, gamers are gamers. And at the end of the day, the only thing we're good for is talking the talk, but not walking the walk. And when both Activision, Warner Brothers Games, and Capcom dropped the ball on Street Fighter, Diablo 4, and Mortal Kombat 1, gamers are going to be the only one they can blame. Is yourself. Because they're just going to rinse and repeat the same arguments that they've made before when the ball drops and there's something that they don't like about those games. Egregious microtransaction prices, whatever the case may be, some crazy ass dumb season pass layout, whatever. They're going to eat their own fucking words. And then they're going to bitch about it. And then years later, Mortal Kombat 2 is going to come out, and then Diablo 5 is going to come out, and Street Fighter 7 is going to come out, and they're going to rinse, repeat the same fucking mistake that gamers have always made. Gamers are a fucking joke. We're the loudest group that accomplishes nothing.